welcome to another episode of Tom's Geeky Garage. So, since the last video I told you I was moving, and I have moved to a new apartment. We're a little closer to Hollywood than we used to be. We can see the Hollywood sign right out of the balcony there, which is kind of neat. But we previously lived on the west side. We lived across the street from Sunny Pictures in Culver City, which we really liked. But my fiance lives a little closer to Hollywood. She works in Hollywood. So we decided to move a little closer to Hollywood to make it easier on her. So we're in this new place. At the time, I don't have my computer gear and my 3D printers and everything I use to make Tom's Geeky Garage unpacked yet. They're still packed up, and we're looking for a space to do that. So it'll be a couple weeks before we get to start making shows again like we used to. But, you know, until then, I wanted to make a quick little video and just show you something that I actually got recently. Now, a lot of people probably already know about this, but me and my girlfriend went to a Barnes & Noble, and she bought me this, and this is the ultimate visual history of Ghostbusters. And I didn't know this existed, so if you know it existed, you know, kudos to you. This is not a video for you. This is for people who don't know this existed. I'm going to just kind of run through this book and kind of show you what's in it. And then, like, later on, probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to start getting stuff together, and I got a project. I got 2 projects that I found in this book that will make a cool project for the show. But for this show, we're just going to look at this book. So, let's take a look at this book. Alright, so we start out with a nice little concept art here. It's really nice. Yeah, I like the look of this. First page, we got the Ghostbuster logo, really nice there. Now, I'm going to be kind of like rushing through this because it's a very thick book, and I kind of want to show a lot of it. So I don't want to make this video like 2 hours long. So I will be skipping some pages that just have basic behind-the-scenes photos and things like that. You can always pause if you need to see those. But okay, so we got the Ghostbusters. The unlimited visual history. We got a foreword by Dan Aykroyd. We got an introduction by Ivan Reitman, and it's written by Daniel Wallace. All right. So I got this book actually for about 20 bucks at Barnes & Noble. So if you see something you like, this is a beautiful book, by the way. It's just done amazing. So for 20 bucks, this is a real good steal and something to have in your collection if you don't have it already. So let's get started. So we have our contents page. We've got some really cool cover art here, some concept art. Looks like we got Peter and Egon and some ghosts. And obviously the contents of the book, which we're not going to go into detail on. So we got the foreword by Dan Aykroyd, and this is just him describing the idea of the project and, you know, the start of the whole project in general. Same here, we got an introduction from Ivan Reitman. Here's Ivan Reitman. And he just talks about basically the start of the project himself when he came into the picture. And then we have a statue here of Slimer, which is in Ivan Reitman's office apparently. So yeah, we're going to keep moving. Sorry I'm going fast through this, but it's a long book and I want to show all of it. And there's some really coul stuff inside here that I want you to see. So the first kind of chapter of this book starts with the original movie. Alright, so now we're in the kind of like the first areas here. We're talking about the idea of the story and some of the early logos we can see here. Some cool artwork here with the guys and the ghosts. That's cool. And as far as the copy here, you know, they're going through talking about some of the early stories of how the production came to be. We got some early Ghostbuster logos, which we got this one here, and then this, which was the kind of first sketch of a ghost, which will eventually become the No Ghost logo. Very cool. Here we have this lizard-looking thing here. Is the basically what they were going to do for the Stay Puft early in production, before they thought of Stay Puft. They were going to do this, which was going to be Ray Stance's pet lizard, apparently, and it was going to trample the city. Here we have a pizza ghost, which was supposed to be like a ghost pizza man or something like that, where he had like melted cheese and pepperonis all over him. That got cut. Here, I'm basically just describing more of the photos than the copy. The copy is just telling the story of the script and how they came to be with Zool and Vince Cartho and all that stuff. But as far as the pictures, I'm just going to kind of go through the pictures because that's what you can see easily on the video. This picture here is what you were supposed to see inside of Dana's refrigerator early in production. They thought this Mayan kind of statue-looking monster, I'm not sure what that would be, but that's what they intended to be inside of the refrigerator. And then we have some concept art of the terror dogs as we've seen them in the movie here, which looks really nice. Now this is a really cool part of the book. This book has a lot of these little kind of glued in areas here, which of these are little papers of prints of different kind of paperwork they had during the production. So this one here says Ghost Chasers. Obviously, before they came on the name Ghostbusters, or what was the other name they had? They had another name before Ghostbusters, but Ghost Chasers, Ghostbusters, and some other stuff. But this is just a description that the production made for the special effects guys of what the overall ghost should be. So this one says, Terror Dogs, description, lizard-like, horny, with spikes, present with horns, okay? Large canine type. Go straight for horror. Look for possible personality. You know, they were like kind of like figuring out where they need to go with this. Onion head, which we know is Slimer. It says, you know, it had a faint yellow mist. Filmy. Horrible odor. Floats 2 feet above the ground. 4 feet in height, 3 feet wide. Brown around the edges, which I don't think they did. Translucent, large, gaping mouth. Eats a lot, more head than body. That's funny. And then there's a female ghost, sexy, romantic, seduces Chevy Chase. And this is obviously early in production when they thought John Candy and Chevy Chase would be in the movie. And I'm guessing this is the ghost that floats over Ray in the sex kind of scene. And below this, there's like nice showing some concept art here of different phases of the concept art, and show some design. This is the guy who did a lot of the design work that drew a lot of these things, so that's cool. This page we got some you know, production photos and more text about the production. I'm not going to go through this production stuff because there's a lot here. If you want to read this, you know, I suggest buying this book, $20, and you can read this all if you don't know this information. Most of the information I read in here, though, was stuff I already knew from stories and internet. So, but it's still a cool book to have for your collection. So we got some more production photos of Peter here and the guys on set. Alright, so now we're in the part of the book where they're going to start talking about the uniforms. So we have some pictures here of the gizmo, the belt gizmo here, which this gizmo is not what I would consider a hero gizmo, because these should have like real computer chips and it should all be functional. This one looks like a non-hero version. So this is something that somebody wear away in the background. It doesn't have a real computer chip, doesn't have real LEDs or batteries or anything like that. It's just made on, it looks like it's made on cardboard. And then we have Spangler's first suit here, which is really kind of cool because I noticed when I was looking at this, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, but there's a definite color difference between the sleeve and the yellow of the body where it's aged. And you can actually see a discoloration of the straps. You can see where the straps were, it's perfectly the original color, and the arm is the original color. but everything else has been yellowed from sitting inside a display case for like 20 years, I'm sure, which is kind of cool. And you got your trap holder right here, which is neat. I don't have one of those yet, so I'm going to get one of those. Alright, some more production art, or production photos, and some more text. Like I said, I'm not going to go through what the story says here because it would take too long. But some really good behind-the-scenes photos of Ivan Reitman shooting at the library. You got a big part of the cast here. You got Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, Dan Aykroyd, Annie Potts. You got everyone in there. That's good. Some more production photos. It's really nice. You guys see the cameraman here with his Panaflex camera shooting everybody. Funny stories. I worked for Panaflex creating a 3D model of this camera. Oh, I don't know if it's the exact camera. I did a 3D model of that camera for them at one point. We've got production photos of the crew and cast, and obviously some photos of Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd as the two bums who actually have kind of made it into Ghostbuster lore in the comic books and other things, but were cut from the movie. So they're not in the movie, but they were in the deleted scenes, and they are part of the lore in the long run. Once again, we got more production photos. Now here is a good page, because here we have the original matte painting for Dana's building, and in the movie you would see this shot, and in this little gap here they would actually green screen this out and actually add the guys walking in this area. They would cut this out and you would see video of the guys walking. Looking at this in a book, it's really funny because in the movie I bought this, like I seen it and I bought it, but in this book I can 100% tell it's a painting. You know, it's crazy how well, you know, working with like standard definition and stuff, you can really fool the camera. You couldn't get away with that now. Okay, so this section of the book, we're talking about the car. So we're talking about the Ecto-1 here. You got a really nice, beautiful view of the Ecto-1 that was in the storage at Sony. And then we have a nice photo of a deleted scene, I believe, of Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd stepping out of the Ectomobile at some scene that was deleted. I think it was like Fort Demurin or something. I can't remember the name of it, but it was cut from the movie. So here we got a nice looking look at the blueprints of the Ecto-1 during production, and this basically breaks down where every part is, what it is, where it goes, which is really neat. Up here in the top corner you can see the Ecto-1 when the studio purchased it. So it was it looked like it was a brown tan color. When they purchased it, it actually had some of the lights already on it, so they just basically removed them and put them back on after painting. And then this is a picture of the Ecto once it was restored by Sony in 2009 when they did the video game. I feel like when they did the video game, this was part of the part of the thing to kind of get that game going, was they were going to spend money and restore the Ecto. Next page, we got a nice wide view of the Ecto. And we have some pictures of the roof rack, some of the internal mechanics inside there, some of the boxes that go inside the rear, and a good close-up picture of the top rack. Alright, don't cross the stream. So in this section, you know, obviously they're talking more about, they're starting to get into more about the technology behind Ghostbusters. Showing us some good behind the scenes. You got Ivan Reitman here. I believe it's Ivan Reitman leaving the scene. It could be a grip, but I believe it's Ivan walking away after talking to the talent. And they got this random guy standing back here who's probably a grip or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So here's the cool thing about this book, if you don't have it yet. This book has got these little bitty pamphlets and certain things glued into it throughout the book. This one here is basically the Sedgwick Hotel storyboard sequence for the capturing of Slimer. And it's like a miniature comic inside of the book. So there's storyboard pieces for each part of the scene. A little like 5-page kind of thing here, showing the inside of the Sedgwick Hotel, and then ending on this nice page of Slimer finishing the story, which is kind of cool. And they do this throughout the whole book, so we're going to see more of these kind of things throughout this book. And more project. You can see Bill Murray getting ready for the scene. Here, the thing says, Aykroyd, Ramis, and Murray can't contain their laughter during the Sedgwick Hotel elevator scene. And you can see they're all just really laughing, and you can tell Aykroyd's really trying to hold it in there, but they just couldn't keep it together, which is really good. It's nice to see that kind of thing. Alright, so now we're talking about the hardware. So we're getting into the part where they're going to talk about the proton packs, and we can see a very nice screen-use proton pack here. And once again, like I said, there's a lot of little glued in little kind of things here, but we'll get to this later. Let's talk about this. So we talk about the proton packs here, and you can see some very close-up pictures of the proton packs here. And I'm guessing this is probably Egon's pack, because I know Sony Pictures had Egon's his hero pack on display for a long time. And I think this is also the pack that they used when, what was the brand that was recreating the packs like years ago? Alamos, or I don't know. I have an actual, what is it, an Alice pack that's made by them that I have in storage, but I never bought the actual replica. And they had basically took this screen use pack and molded it and made a cast of it, and was reproducing this pack, I believe. It could be a different one, but other than that, yeah, it looks cool. This is cool. This is a Polaroid from the actual prop maker. First Polaroid of the pack after it was built. He finished building it and took this Polaroid, I guess, in the production or show what it looked like or whatever. Looks really cool. Now, the little bitty paper they glued in here is a concept art for the original proton pack. And the original proton pack had like a gimbal with like a more box type wand on it, and then it had a pack cable that went over the shoulder, almost like an over the shoulder double-handed kind of thing. That's kind of cool. They glued that in there. Next page, we got the trap. The cool thing about the trap is like, anytime I make these traps, I usually either paint these lines on, or at this time, the last trap I made, I got reflector tape that had stripes on it, and I was able to use reflector tape. You can go back and watch the video and see me use that. This looks like it's duct tape. Like, I'm looking at the texture of it, it looks like they use yellow and black duct tape and literally just cut strips of duct tape, which is kind of neat. This is concept art for the original design of the trap. The original trap had this thin slit in it. The pedal looks close, a little different with this round thing here, but you know, the first kind of attack at the ghost trap is kind of cool. This page we talk about the ecto goggles. There's concept art, which is very scruffy looking Dan Aykroyd, and I'm assuming Bill Murray, or maybe they're both Dan Aykroyd, got the cigarette in there, because got the cigarette here too. That must have been like a signature thing, and I do know that like in the first Ghostbusters they smoked, and the second one they didn't. Probably like, you know, it probably wasn't a good thing to promote smoking in the 80s, like late 80s, like 89. But 84, you know, it's cool. Ghostbusters smoke. Look, he's got a cigarette right there. Look at that. Got some smoke coming out. We got like an eyepiece, kind of a PKE eyepiece meter, which looks goofy, like a monocle. And then we all know the PKE meter. So, and I wanted to discuss this. Like, this is a, it's more like a metal detector, but it's some kind of like ghost metal detector. Like, this area here is going to talk a lot about the Dana Barrett scene where she gets taken by the terror dogs into the refrigerator. You can see here behind the scenes of the visual effects artist wearing the arms. In the following page, we see some of the original sculpts, which is really cool, of the original hands and arms of the ghouls that were taking her which is really cool. And like I said, this will give you so much more detail if you read this. I'm just giving you kind of a rundown because this is a really thick book, and we got to keep moving. All right, aim for the flap top. Now we're talking about Zool here. I cannot pronounce the actress's name that played Zool, but she did a great job, and that page talks about her. So if you get this, if you want more about that, read about that. This is another one of those little clip-in pages here. This shows Dana's original building size and all the set they're going to add to the top of it. So this is kind of a breakdown of the set they're going to add on top, which is what you see here. And a lot behind the scenes of the set here that John DeClore did. He did a great job of building on that. And we get a little picture here, which is really cool, which is Zool's stunt double. I imagine that's the girl who actually did the flip when she flipped. And, you know, they can't just have an actress do that, so they had to get a professional stunt double to do that, which is cool. Alright, so we got more production photos. Annie Potts, Harold Ramis, all four of the guys there. Is there another page in here that I missed? That's what it seems like a really... Oh, no, there's another page. Alright, here we get a page of all the visual effects artists that worked on Ghostbusters. Now, knowing the past of Ghostbusters, basically, ILM at the time, which is Industrial Light and Magic, which everyone knows that did Star Wars, and Indiana Jones, and majority of all the movies in that time period. They were too busy at the time to kind of do this movie. They already had too many things on their plate. But the head of that department decided to go off on his own and start his own company. And these guys all joined. And this was the company that did Ghostbusters. So you can see here that they got Slimer, they got the original sculpt, they got the librarian ghost here, they got Stay Puft, another Stay Puft, Slimer arms, they got the claws from Dana's scene, you got a Terror Dog. They're kind of just holding all the props and showing off their skills. Everyone involved making this movie happen, which is really cool. So, alright, this is part of the book, which talks about the library ghost. You can see them working on the puppet here and the woman who played the library ghost that was floating. You got some storyboards here and the transformation of the librarian to the ghost, which is really cool. Now we're talking about Slimer, onion head here. So here's Slimer and here's his puppet. This page has got some concept art of different Slimers before they come up with the design. We got this weird looking thing that makes no sense at all. We got several different looks here. And I've seen this stuff before, like this one and this one. I've seen this artwork before. The big butt, which they kept the big butt, and they kind of kept some of this, but it's not what finally came out. Here we can see the Slimer being sculpted, some of the different sculpts they had of him. Here we can see the animatronic underneath. This is below the skin. This is where you'd have the you know, the animatronics as far as the servos. They would have the, I imagine this is polyurethane, some kind of like dental acrylics to make up the cheekbones and the teeth and all that stuff. And they would put a skin over that, which is made from this sculpt here. And here you can see it with the sculpt, the skin, and everything together. And the actor acting it out in front of a blue screen. This page talks about the dream ghost. You can see the girl on her little kind of, I don't know what it'd be called, but this little thing that lifted her up above the bed. It was hidden under her dress, so you couldn't see it. And it made her look like she was floating with some monofilament or some kind of thin wire. It's cool. Got some other cool concept art here. And screenshots from the movie. More screenshots and some behind the scenes of the taxi ghost. This is the subway ghost, I believe, and this is what I based my ghost after when I designed my ghost. It's kind of more like this. Now we're into Terror Dogs, the Terror Dog section. So this is a picture of a concept of the Terror Dog from 1983. And this is the terror dog we see in the movie. Here we have more concepts of the terror dog here. You got this more like Japanese looking terror dog. You got this guy. This guy's looking pretty cute. He's almost too cute to be a terror dog though. He's like scary but cute. And you got this guy. And then we got this little cut-in page that shows some more terror dog concepts, which are more pencil sketches, which looks pretty horrifying. Like this is way deeper than they went. Maybe that was too scary for a comedy. I don't know. So now we have some behind the scenes of the terror dog, some on-set stuff, some more on-set stuff, and some close-ups. So not going to get too much in that. Stay Puft. We've all seen Stay Puft so many times that I don't want to go through this section too fast or too slow. I don't know. But we got the guys sculpting out Stay Puft here. We got Stay Puft on set. These are kind of neat. I've seen these before, which are concepts of Stay Puft. You know, you got this one down here that looks exactly like the, what's the dude from the bread commercials? What's his name? I went brain dead just now. I can't remember his name, but obviously they wanted a mix between the Michelin Man and the Pillsbury Doughboy. Pillsbury Doughboy, that's who I think it is. So they wanted a mix between the Michelin Man and the Pillsbury Doughboy, and I feel like this was like the first take where they were like, I'm going to copy the Pillsbury Doughboy exactly with this uniform. And I think this is probably the one that was the one that won. And all these other ones are kind of just like, you know, they're all good. I like them all, but I can see how none of them really looks like a monster, which is funny. Like, the scene calls for like this big monster, like, rampage through New York, and none of these, even the one that won, doesn't look like something that would be scary. We got this cool photo of Stay Puft shooting like marshmallow balls and burning down the like Empire State Building or something, which is kind of unique. Got some more behind the scenes of the Stay Puft costume. We got some. These are like fiberglass. I imagine they're fiberglass. These are kind of like the underskeletons underneath the silicone skin, or this is probably foam latex. Actually, at the time, they used a lot of foam latex. So it's probably foam latex skin over these fiberglass shells. Fiberglass shells work as like the skeleton that holds the foam latex in place. And you can see some metal louvers and things that would probably be moved with cables or animatronics to make the facial expression change. You got the Marshmallow Man here with the burnt mouth after he gets burnt up. Oh, we got a little one of these glue-in things right here, which is a little advertisement for Stay Puft Marshmallows, which is kind of cool. Some more behind the scenes of Stay Puft attacking the building. And I remember watching a documentary, and they said that basically they had to do multiple times because they hired somebody and they lit him on fire, and this costume costs like thousands and thousands of dollars, and the first guy who did it didn't fulfill what they asked him to do. He got too hot or got scared and ended up backing out, and they ended up having to build another suit that wasted like $30,000 or something. It was ridiculous. My numbers are probably way off, but it's been a while since I, watched that documentary. And we also have sets of the Marshmallow Man burning, things like that. Alright, so the next page shows Dance Building. And this is basically describing how they had to build the square model. And you can see here, you can see these two fellas here. So this thing's probably like 12 foot high. And they basically set explosions on to give this like 4 pier explosion. They wanted explosions to come from each side of the building outwards. They wanted this like whoosh, whoosh. They wanted it to come out in a cross type shape rather than just being a plume. So they had to actually reinforce this thing with metal rods and metal that wouldn't give way, but some parts that would give way to create this like plume of 4 different directions, which is really cool. Alright, so now the movie's getting to the point where it's over, production-wise. Now we're showing some of the post-production stuff, talking about Elmer Bernstein and his soundtrack on it, which was amazing. And if you just hear this music, you automatically think Ghostbusters. And they use this music in the 2020 Afterlife movie. If you watch a trailer, you will hear his music in that, and that's immediately what bonds you to that film. Like, you watch that trailer, and as soon as you hear this original music, you go, yeah, that's Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? Like, you know, music is very important with a film. And in tied with that, which is the, obviously, the Ray Parker Jr. theme song, Ghostbusters. And we have a page about that, talking probably about, I didn't read this page, actually, but I'm sure it's just talking about his production and, like, how it came to be. I know that he had several problems writing it, like, he couldn't find the right sound, and it took him a while to find something that worked good. I will read this later and maybe talk about it more later, but... Alright, so we're at the end of the first movie. We got some production photos. These are production photos of them just doing different kind of, like, looks here. You can tell this one's really close to the movie poster, so they probably shot these on set. And they have one with the director, them pointing wands at the director. You got this one with them in front of a kid. I'm not sure why the kid's there. Maybe that was a subplot that they never added to the movie. And then you got the final shot that they used on the posters, which you can see here, which is not exactly the same shot, but it seems like this one was taken right after this one because they were almost in the same position. And this was the final movie poster that came out, which I have on my wall. Now, this little card here that you're seeing that I'm moving out of the way, this is a preview card. So this is for early viewers of the movie before the movie came out. All studios do this, and what they do is they pre-show the movie to a small group of people. And after the people watch the movie, they give them these little cards to ask them who they liked, what they didn't like, whatever. That way the studio has time to change it before the movie release. So if everybody signed this card and said, oh, Peter Venkman, the Ghostbuster who fell on Dana, how much do you like him? And you said 0%. And everybody said 0%. They would re-edit the movie probably to have less of him in it. The deal is, this is a movie industry. They're making sure that they can make everyone happy in the film. Like, they want to make everyone happy. So they do these little cards, and there's some stuff on the back too. Would you pay to see this movie again? Yes or no? Would you pay $8 to $9 for Ghostbusters t-shirt if they were available? Stuff like that. They ask these questions. Would you buy products? Would you buy merchandise? Would you watch a movie again? Would you do this? And this is to give them a small idea. If they do this to two or three theaters, they can get a kind of a rough estimate over the global, how the global will take it. And if this comes out super positive for just 3 studios or three theaters, more likely it will work on the main scheme, so they'll sell a bunch of this. Is just to give them an idea how well their movie's going to do before they actually release it, which is really cool. They gave it to us here, so that's neat. All right, next part of the book, the sequel. So now we're going to break into Ghostbusters Part 2. Once again, we're going to talk about how the story was created and why they did it. Got some behind-the-scenes photos, some publicity photos. Next page, we got some ghost ideas, which look really like from the real Ghostbusters. Like, you can tell immediately from Ghostbusters 1 to Ghostbusters 2 that the real Ghostbusters was a big influence on the second movie, because the first movie came out in '84, and then in around '86 the cartoon came out. The cartoon blew up, and the cartoon had so many ghosts like this, and a toy line, and then by '89, that was 3 years. They had 3 years of the toy line doing successful, so the production kind of felt like, we have to incorporate some of these things that the kids love already, because the kids love this toy line. We need to make this movie more like the toy line. And maybe that's why some hardcore Ghostbuster fans don't like the second movie, because of that. I'm not sure. I always loved the second movie. Of course, Ghostbusters 1, when it came out in 1984, I was like 3, which I remember watching it as a little kid. But, and I watched it until, from '83 and on, but to be realistic, like, Ghostbusters 2 was the movie where I was of age and I could go to the theaters. I went to the theaters to watch Ghostbusters 2. So it's kind of more my movie. So I understand a little bit of that. Here they give us a little, one of these little, they give us Peter Venkman's business card, which is kind of cool. I'm assuming they expect you to tear these out, but I'm not going to tear them out. Ghost concepts. We got some pages of ghost concepts. More ghost concepts here. Some behind the scenes photos. Some production photos of the baby carriage scene. You can see how they had built a rack onto the little carriage here and had the camera. And you got Ivan Reitman chasing behind the camera operator, directing and running. You know, he put some work in that day. That's good. We got the Ecto-1A here in full glory being filmed in New York. Got Ivan Reitman, and you got Bill Murray pumping up the crowd, I guess. This is probably the very end scene of Ghostbusters 2 when the citizens were cheering. They had Bill Murray get a little loud phone and probably give a little speech. And we got the end scene of the movie where the Ghostbusters are being thanked by New York, and that's cool. Alright, so now we got this thing. This thing is called the Ectomobile Mark II, which everyone knows as the Ecto-1A. I guess they experimented with a few different types of cars here. They had like a taxi cab kind of car. There was a taxi cab. And then, funny enough, they got this car, which strangely looks a lot like the 2016 Ecto, which I assume the 2016 Ghostbusters crew looked back at these artwork and they seen this and they thought, well, let's just make a hearse out of one of these things. Because the front end is almost exactly like it. Except for it's not broken apart like this. It's an actual hearse. So I believe this is probably what got 2016's Ecto made. And we have another blueprint of the Ecto-1A showing the upgrades from the Ecto-1 to the Ecto-1A. They describe things like add aluminum diaplate bumper and paint red to match fins. So the back bumper was added. Add Ghostbusters 2 logo. Add approved race car logos on flanks of Ecto-1 Mark II. They didn't actually add those, thank God, because it's not NASCAR. I'm sure if they would have added them, though, I would think nowadays, like, oh, it's meant to be there, because it was there. We got Bill Murray in front of the painting of Vigo here. Now, this painting of Vigo, I believe was a much smaller painting, and was photographed and blew up and kind of kinkoed into a large painting. I say that because on one of these pages here we go. On this page here, they show the painting as it is now, and you can see the cracks in all the paint. And from the size of these cracks, I'm guessing that this painting is quite small and was blew up to be, you know, like a huge size painting in the final movie. And we got Vigo here getting his makeup on and stuff like that. Next page we have is a lot of concept art for Vigo, what they thought he should look like. We have multiple different things where he looks like Rasputin. I guess they were looking for the Rasputin look or this like God of War look. And we even got this guy. This is Vigo as Sol, S-O-L, Vigo as Sol. He's kind of like a Statue of Liberty for some reason. I don't know about that. Underneath, we have Ivan Reitman by the painting. We got Dana Barrett, Sigourney Weaver, and the two twins in front of the painting. And some more production photos. Alright, so this is talking about the scene where little baby Oscar goes out on the ledge of the hotel or the apartment and gets picked up by the nanny ghost here. Originally, they wanted, I guess, it wanted to be like a clown ghost. And you can see Peter fighting off the ghost with a baseball bat while holding Oscar here. I'm not sure about that. I'm glad they canned that idea. Yeah, we got more pictures of what this ghost should look like, and they try to work a scary one, a worm one. This one looks like it's from Beetlejuice. A dog-looking one, which is weird. That don't look like a thing. A robot, a phone. Like, this is production, and I work in visual effects, so like I do these pages where you just basically put as many random fucking things you can. That's really what you do. You put as many different, you try to reach each side of the map when you create characters. You go for the extreme and you go for the less extreme, and you just do everything you possibly can so they can pick a direction. And then once they pick a direction, you kind of dial in that direction and you make that character better, you know. Alright, so now we're getting into like the courthouse scene. Some concept art of the Solari brothers there. And some screenshots and some concept art. This page is talking about the Van Horde station, where they go down, where Ray goes down into the subway, and he sees the River of Slime for the first time, and you can see a little glue-in page here of the costume design for that, which is kind of cool. Got the little helmet here with the Ghostbusters 2 logo on it. Alright, this is a cool page. Here's a cool page. Alright. So this page shows the slime blower, as you can see here, right? But it has this translucent overlay that shows the original blueprints, which I wish I had a piece of paper. Something white. I wish I had something white that I could show you just the blueprints here, because it's just a sketch of the thing. And they overlaid it onto the picture. It shows you the Alice Pack frame, regular safety tape, bright safety tape. You know, it just shows you all the technical things. And over here's another glue-in of showing an original concept sketch of what the wand or the sprayer would look like inside the thing. And there is a photo of the actual screen use prop right there. Very cool. Alright, now we're talking about the gigameter. They're showing some concept art for what that would look like and what it does look like. The same thing with the slime scooper here. Now, what I always found fascinating with the slime scooper is that Ray had no clue, I think, that they were going to come across a river of slime, but he came prepared with the one instrument that had one job, which was to scoop down and scoop slime. I always thought that weird, that like, how did he know there was going to be slime and he needed this one tool? He brought one tool with him, which was this tool. I mean, maybe, am I missing something that, like, somewhere in the movie they knew they were going to come across a river of slime? I don't know. But this tool was designed just for scooping the slime, and he had it ready. He had it ready. We've got Vigo here in his river of slime outfit. And we have another glued sheet. Here they're going to talk about building the river of slime, about how they built the miniature set and how they flowed slime through it for filming. And here we have a visual effects breakdown from 1988. It basically says, Museum Day shot. No high-rise buildings behind. ILM shot. Vigo painting. The eyes of Vigo start to glow. Figure of Vigo comes to life, turns towards Justin and gestures dramatically at him. He speaks in a commanding voice. It's just a shot list for that scene that visual effects guys would use to start preparing their visual effects. I get these all the time. I literally have an archive of these from all the movies I worked on, which is crazy. Okay, Solari Brothers. So this is just the scene about the Solari Brothers. I'm not going to go through this very slowly. It shows the animatronics underneath, the skins, some concept art, and them shooting on front of the blue screen here. I really love the Solari Brothers, and this animatronic is just beautiful. It's beautiful. They use, if you can't see this, animatronics are basically built using servos for the most part, either radio controlled or directly wired. And what you do is you use vac formed clear plastic to build like the skeleton. So like you will sculpt out the shape you need for the animatronic, and you will vac form it, and we'll give you this plastic shell. And from that plastic shell, you're allowed to bolt and connect all your animatronics into. And then here they got some teeth and stuff, which here looks like probably like a latex, probably like a painted foam latex. I would use silicone for this and dental acrylic to make the teeth. but back in the day that was expensive and it wasn't very practiced at the time. So now we're at Slimer Mark II. So this is another section about Slimer, and it just basically describes how the cartoon blew up and the character Slimer got so popular in the cartoon that when they did the second movie, they needed to make the cartoon Slimer more apparent in the movie. So they took and they redesigned Slimer from the first movie and made him more softer and more easy to take in for the second movie because how many fans of him had appeared in the cartoon. Here we got some behind the stage scenes of the film directing the Slimer actor, and we have a really nice glue in of the Slimer concept art, and we have some other concept arts underneath him right here. Now this page is very interesting to me because this is one of the projects I want to do in the future. The skeleton of Slimer, I want to like 3D model this and print this. So if you watch the show and you're about 3D printing and you follow me, this will be something soon. I feel like I am going to 3D model and make this skeleton because that is really cool. And maybe I'll do one of those half and half deals where it's half Slimer and then half skeleton, you know, and I have it on a stand. That might be cool. That's definitely a project I am going to look into. Alright, so now we're getting into the Jogger Ghost, which had a special trap. If you remember the movie, they have this really thin, flat trap so he could like, catch him. They don't talk about that thin trap in here, but they did it. We got them talking about special effects for the, here's another card for the little mink coat. I think it was a mink. Is it mink? Oh, let me look at the things. I don't know if it's mink. Let's see. Finishing touches applied to the Titanic miniature. Top right, women's fur coat. It didn't say what it is, but I think it's mink. Or what are these things? If you know, leave in the comments what these things are for minks or whatever. But I do remember that these were meant for the first movie, and they were cut in the first movie. This whole scene with the mink coat, it was cut. And then it made it to the second movie. And here we have the Subway Ghost. I believe it was Subway Ghost, right? Not sure about that. Subway Ghost might have been the one I pointed out earlier. Which one is this on? Theater Ghost. No, it's a Theater Ghost. So this is one that comes out of theater. My bad. I should know that stuff, but... Alright, so now we're talking about Statue of Liberty. They talk about the building and filming of that. You can see here some concept art. You can see the actual maquette here they built. And this is the part where you see the Ghostbusters inside the stand. You can see the Ghostbusters standing here controlling it with the Nintendo controller. So they shot this wide, and then I horribly want to say the After Effects, those guys in there, but back in the day they did not have After Effects, so they just composited those guys in there using film techniques, which I know nothing about. I never worked in film visual effects, so cannot describe how that works, but they did it. We got the actor wearing the Statue of Liberty costume, and him on set doing the whole smasheroo of the museum top, which is cool. Got a behind the scenes shot of them filming the museum when it's covered in slime. And we got a picture of the model of the museum. You can see the scale of this. It looks like it's about like 4 foot by like 6 foot. Pretty decent sized model. Good detail. Now we're to the end of the second movie. And you can see the Run DMC. This is a cassette sleeve for the cassette when they did the On Your Own cassette, which was one of my favorite albums actually. The whole Ghostbusters 2 album, I really like the hip hop aspect more than the first album. So, and we got a large advertising shot here of the Bobby Brown On Our Own shot here. Next page we have the final painting of the 4 Ghostbusters that replaced the Vigo painting. And we have a conceptual Ghostbusters 2 logo showing the colors and what that should look like. Nowadays, if you got one of these in production, They would actually have a color code here, so you could actually dial in each color perfectly in your computer. They didn't have computers back then, I guess. Alright, so now we're in the part where we're going to start breaking into the universe of Ghostbusters. This is outside the movies, so now we're talking about the toys, the cartoons, the comics, and everything else that comes along with Ghostbusters outside the movies. So part 3, the expanded Ghostbusters universe. So right off the bat, we talk about real Ghostbusters, which to me, I was a kid growing up in the 80s, and real Ghostbusters was really the glue that held me into the franchise. Like, I love the movies. I was raised in the movies almost like a babysitter. My parents would put Ghostbusters into the VCR and set it on repeat. And so basically the VCR would play the movie, rewind it, play it again. It just looped the movie. And that was my babysitter growing up. My parents both worked full-time jobs, so there was a lot of time of me at home alone with my sisters, and I would just watch Ghostbusters on loop. And then when the cartoon came out, it gave a little bit more, a little bit more Ghostbusters things. I would wake up early Saturday morning and watch Garfield and watch all the stuff leading up to the Ghostbusters cartoon, and it was a big part of my weekend, getting my cereal ready and sitting down to watch Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters cartoon. So this is going to just kind of go through that. We have some cool concept art here, or some actual shots of the cartoon here, showing some designs of how the Ecto-1 will look, how Stay Puft looks, how Slimer got super rich, apparently. I actually don't know what episode it's from, my bad. It's been a long time. We got Stay Puft in the cartoon here, which was kind of more of a friendly character in the cartoon. We got Janine Melnis, looking very good. Some more Slimer concept art. And like I said, I'm not going to go through this. There's so much detail in here about the cartoon and stuff, and if you really want to know this information, you should really just buy this book. I'm not going to go through it because it would take forever. Now we're going to break into Extreme Ghostbusters, which, as far as Extreme Ghostbusters go, like, I like the Extreme Ghostbusters, but I never was in love with it. Like, it wasn't my thing. Like, I don't know, I just never really fell in love with it. I don't have any problems with it, but it's not something I sit back and watch. And I know, like, on Hulu, I can watch all the stuff on Hulu right now, and it's just, I don't know, I just never really fell in love with it. But there's a lot of stuff in here for that, concept art, and some ghosts, which are really cool. They kind of all got the similar look. I don't know why they all went with the same kind of stretched out, really thin look, but got some more concept art here for that. Alright, so now we're into the Ghostbuster video games, which we don't have to fool ourselves. We all know that the 2009 game is the best game that was ever made. And I think the magazine, or this book, knows that, which we have a nice shot from that game here. But we do talk about the original NES game, which everyone played, and no one understood. Ghostbusters 2 is a little better. This game here, this is the Ghostbusters, Extreme Ghostbusters game. I do remember this one because I had it on Game Boy Advance, and I do remember that being a very, very good game. As far as you get to drive the Ecto, and you got to do a lot of cool stuff in it. But really, when it comes to games, you think about this guy here, which is the 2009 Ghostbuster game, which obviously everybody put in their work to do. We had Bill Murray, we had Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, we had Amy Potts, we had, I mean, basically everybody was in it. And they talk about that game for a while here. You got Ernie Hudson here, doing a great job at voicing his character. Let's get back to this. Now, Ghostbusters and comics. Now, this is a section that talks about the Ghostbuster comics, which I actually have not read these comics. I do collect them. I do have like a collection of them, but I just haven't sat down and actually read them. I usually just put them in plastic and put them in the storage case, but the artwork is beautiful for them, and I'm sure the stories are amazing too. I'm not much of a reader, so I just don't set time aside to read those things. And we got some beautiful artwork here for those comics. Now this is really cool artwork here, because if you remember when the first I think Game Informer came out with the Ghostbusters 2009 game, there was a very, very cool artwork where it was Egon leaning back and he was shooting a shark ghost. And that never made it into the 2009 game, but it did make it into the comic book, which is really cool because they are fighting that great white ghost. Okay, here we are. If you know my channel, I focus on Kenner Ghostbusters. So this is where the magic comes to life for me. We are at the Kenner Ghostbuster Park. So here you can see some of the original, this was the original poster that was released. Some people have this. That shows the big Ghostbuster logo in the first line of Kenner Toys. It's very cool. Over here, we have the first promotional photo for the firehouse. Now, if you look at this firehouse closely, you can see that this is a completely photoshopped version of the firehouse. This is completely artistically made. This didn't exist at the time. And it's nothing like what was produced, but you can see they had the idea that there was going to be a containment unit, that there was going to be a pole, there was going to be 2 floors. It's a very early production. All these kids were photoshopped in. And you got the slime raining on Ray here. It was a very good production photo because everything they promised here eventually was made. The visual playset did all these things. Look at this thing. The pole is just a brown or orange pole with this little flimsy paper stand that Peter was on. And obviously in the real life it was a blue pole with like this heavy red attachment. But this is the very first look at it. And this is great to see that. On this page they talk about the Ghost Zapper and the Green Ghost. Hey, by the way, I just ordered the new release Kenner Green Ghost. I had bought all 4 of the new Hasbro characters, and last night I bit the dust and I bought this for 25 bucks. I paid a little more for it, but I had got the re-release for 24 bucks, I think. Good deal. These are the later releases of the real Ghostbusters that happened. The retro action figures, you know. I think they came out like Comic-Con or something like that. I don't know. Here we're talking about the characters that came out. What year did that came out? Like 2009? I'm not sure what year these came out, but these are the Maddie collector figures, which I have a lot of these too. I have almost all these in storage. We got the Pops figures and the Lego Ecto here. On this page we got the good old Adam Savage here. And I'm okay friends with Adam. And I always seen this photo. I was always super like, I don't know, like he's the kind of guy who's a special effects expert. He's been in the industry for like 20 years longer than I've been alive, it seems like. But he got so many things wrong in this costume, and I don't know if he just didn't try or just, you know, he has a lot on his plate, but I was like, everything about this costume is completely wrong. And then like yeah, maybe I'm a Ghostbuster nitpicker, but I'm like, why does the gloves have this orange stripe on it? And I'm like, why is your heat sink on backwards? Like his heat sink is going this way when it should go this way. And why is your badge on your chest and not your shoulder? And why do you not have a name tag? And why is this and why is this? But it says here in the description here, this is Adam Savage of TV's Mythbusters on his own Ghostbuster gear. Photo by Norman Chain. Savage, who admits the flaws of his version of the costume, he is currently working on a more accurate version. So, like, he at least knows that he's doing wrong here. I mean, the heatsink is like, how do you get the heatsink wrong, bro? Bro, it's a heatsink. It goes vertical. Like, everyone, like, how do you get it that wrong? I've seen people build first-time packs who never get that wrong. Whatever. And then the rest of the book is basically a few artworks, and then the last page to the end. And the back shows another production art, some of the stuff you're going to see inside. But basically, that's it. That's the Ghostbusters Ultimate Visual History. I would suggest, if you don't have this, go get it. I mean, really, it's 20 bucks, and it's a beautiful, there's so much beautiful stuff in here. I mean, come on, look, did you, I mean, come on, look at it. Look at this. I think I skipped this page. Look at this. There's literally an animation cell of Peter and Slimer in here. I don't know how I skipped it. How did I skip that? Oh, that's how I skipped it. It's just like a stiff page. Look at that. There's an animation cell here of Peter and Slimer describing how the cartoon's being made. It's very cool. It's a very great book. For 20 bucks, you can't beat it. Go get one of these. Barnes & Noble, online, I don't care where you get it. You should get one of these. And, like I said, there's a few projects in this book that I want to do in the future. Definitely maybe that Slimer skeleton that I was talking about. That would be cool. And maybe that thin trap, that concept trap that was never made. You know, like, I would be down to do that too. I can't find it right now, but there's so much cool stuff in here. So go check it out. Get you one. Why not? 20 bucks. You'll love it. You can put it on your shelf. It's got a beautiful end box. It's like printed really well. It's a great project. Not a great project. Sorry, it's a great book. Alright, well, have a good time, and we'll have some more videos in the future.